Hello and welcome to Washington Exec's video series. I'm your host, Amanda Ziadeh, and joining me today is Jamie Sybert. She's principal and leader of the Grant Thornton Public Sector's Government Contracting Advisory Practice. Thanks so much for joining me today, Jamie.
Thank you for having me, Amanda. I'm excited to talk to you today.
Of course. So I understand Grant Thornton is in a unique position in the government contracting space as both a prime contractor to the U.S. government and as a provider of advisory and other services to other companies that do business with the government. So I wanted to start by asking you if you can talk a little bit about what that position looks like from your leadership perspective and the work that you do.
Great. Yeah, it is a unique position. My career I've spent it both within industry, within public sector, federal businesses, acting as a compliance manager, VP of compliance, etc. And then I've also spent a bulk of my career, right, in the consulting industry, advising government contracting clients. So this actually brought both of those together, which was such a unique experience for me that it was just an excellent opportunity. What it really means is I act as the Grant Thornton Public Sector's Chief Compliance Officer. So I oversee a lot of the larger issues and compliance requirements that government contractors face and help advise the company internally, kind of as their internal consultant on ways that we can solve those issues. And then as an external consultant, I am able to provide real life experiences of what companies such as ours facing. So Grant Thornton is obviously mostly a commercial company. We have a federal business, but it's predominantly commercial. And that's pretty consistent with a lot of government contractors. They aren't 100% federal contractors or, state and local contractors. They mostly do commercial work. And when you're in that environment, you run into, I will say, a little bit more roadblocks than you would if you were in a completely federal environment. So my experience at Grant Thornton and prior to that in another commercial firm really allows me to bring kind of that common sense kind of business aspect to it while understanding that you still have to comply with those government requirements.
All right, wonderful. So it's been, a challenging year for all industries. What are some of the issues or challenges that you're facing right now as a company, and how do they compare to those of your clients?
We're probably facing many of the same issues. I don't think they're much different than others. In one aspect, we were a little bit more prepared, I would say, for a remote workforce, because as a consultant, you are pretty much remote most of the time. So in that aspect, day-to-day life, probably didn't change a ton for some consultants, except that now you're not on the road, you're at home, but you are always sort of working remotely. However, there's still the facilities issues, and what will facilities look like going forward? What will the office space of the future be, right? What is that going to entail? Are we still going to have kind of the cube areas? Are we going to go back to offices? These are all things that, not just us, but all clients are kind of grasping. And then there's other areas is what does the future look like for the workforce? Are we going to require everybody to go back to the office full time? Is it going to be, more of a remote? Is it going to be partial, a few days in the office, et cetera? So we're facing, from an overall perspective, that issue. From a government contractor, more specific aspect, we're dealing with, prohibition on using Chinese telecommunications, just as any other government contractor is. And with a firm as large as ours, finding out every piece that you're using and whether it's prohibited or not is quite an endeavor. Mm-hmm. And then also, with the cybersecurity requirements. That's another place that, we're also going to want to be CMC certified, just like other government contractors. So we're going through the same process. And we have a great team that is assisting us on the process, but is also serving our clients on that side.
Yeah, makes sense. It's the CMMC authorization is a big topic right now. So we've definitely covered it a bit. All right. Yeah. So considering these challenges, can you recommend some best practices in how you're helping companies face the same challenges and roadblocks that you are?
Yeah, one thing that I've always found challenging being internal within a company, in charge of kind of the overall compliance is, is getting your compliance team involved and having them involved in the decisions that your operations are making. Because I think the thing that's sometimes lost is what those decisions actually mean to the federal business and what it can mean to the rates that you're charging clients, et cetera, and allowability issues. So the more that you can team with your operations and your senior leadership as they go about making these decisions about what the future looks like, it's going to help them and it's going to help you, because you're going to be able to help them make decisions that'll make them profitable and help them in their strategic decisions going forward for their next 5 or so years. But if you're not partnering with them, then sometimes the outcome isn't what they were thinking it would be. So it's really that, I always recommend that partnering with operations, with senior leadership, to know and be involved on the front end and not trying to scramble on the back end. Also, know what your competitors are doing. Stay in tune with what they're doing and what they're going to do with their workforce and facilities and et cetera, because facilities is a large part of our cost. And if all your competitors are shedding facilities or doing things differently and you're not, you may lose some of your competitiveness. So really staying in touch internally and staying focused on the competition and what they're doing out there.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing those insights. I'm sure they're extremely valuable, especially to our audience. So I appreciate your time today. Thanks for joining me today, Jamie.
Thank you, Amanda.